Today, we're diving into one of the 20th century's most important and, frankly, most challenging works of political thought, Hannah Arendt's The Origins of Totalitarianism. This book isn't just history, it's a powerful warning that still echoes today. This is the question at the very heart of her work, and it's a question that should send a chill down your spine. She's not asking about invaders from the outside. She's asking how a modern, supposedly civilized society can turn on itself and create the very monsters that seek to destroy it. It's a terrifying puzzle, and she was determined to solve it. So where does Arendt even begin? Well, she starts with a conclusion, and it is a shocking one. She argues that what happened in Nazi Germany and Stalinist Russia wasn't just another flavor of tyranny. No, this was something radically new, a complete break from anything that had come before in human history. I mean, just let that sink in for a moment. Destroy the essence of man. She's not just talking about taking away freedom or oppressing people. She's talking about an attempt to fundamentally alter human nature itself, to erase what makes us human in the first place. And this is where she draws a bright, terrifying line in the sand. Look, a typical tyrant, they want power. They'll crush their political rivals to stay on top. But a totalitarian regime, its ambition is so much bigger, it's almost cosmic. Its goal is to get rid of spontaneity, individuality, the unpredictable nature of human beings. Its real enemy isn't another political party, it's human nature itself. Okay, so if that's the insane goal, it begs the question, right? Where on earth do you find followers for projects like that? How do you convince millions of people to help build a system that's designed to destroy their own humanity? Well, Arendt's answer is incredibly insightful and honestly pretty unsettling. Her answer is found in what she calls the masses. And she's super clear about this. This is not a class, like the proletariat or the bourgeoisie. The masses are made up of people from every walk of life who have one thing in common. They're atomized, they're isolated, and they feel like they just don't have a place in the world anymore. First, let's talk about isolation. This mass man, he feels completely disconnected from political life. He's convinced the whole system is corrupt, that his voice doesn't matter, so why even bother? Then, on top of that, he's socially homeless. You know, all those normal connections that give our lives meaning, community groups, churches, even stable family structures. For him, they've all broken down. He's just adrift. And what happens when you combine that political isolation and social homelessness? You get a deep, burning hostility towards reality itself. The real world seems random, chaotic, and fundamentally unfair. So naturally, he starts to crave a different reality, a fictional one that, actually makes sense. And this is how these movements organize those masses. Arendt's analogy here is just perfect. It's like an onion. Right at the core, you have the leader, who can do no wrong. Wrapped around him are the elite, the true believers. Then you have the party members, and finally, on the outside, you have the masses. Each layer acts as a buffer, protecting the radical core from the outside world, and at the same time, shielding the outer layers from the movement's truly terrifying goals. All right, so you've built your onion, you've got your layers of followers, but what makes it all go? What's the engine that drives this whole machine, that controls millions and literally tries to bend reality to its will? For Arendt, it's a powerful two-part system. Think of it like a two-stroke engine. On one side, you have ideology. This is what creates the story, the fictional world that explains everything perfectly. It has an answer for everything. On the other side, you have terror. Terror is what makes that fictional story real. It's the constant, grinding motion that crushes anything and anyone who dares to contradict the ideology. One is the logic, the other is the motion. They need each other to function. And you can immediately see the appeal, can't you? If you're that mass man, feeling lost in a world that makes no sense, an ideology that claims to have the key to all of history, well, that's an incredibly powerful drug. It offers a world with no accidents, no coincidences, where everything makes perfect logical sense, even if that logic is completely insane. Now, a really crucial point Arendt makes is that this horror didn't just pop up out of thin air. It grew out of the deep structural cracks that were already forming in the old world order of Europe. She traces this path, this sort of perfect storm of events, starting in the late 1800s. Now, these things didn't cause totalitarianism directly, but they tilled the soil. They made the ground fertile for this new kind of evil to take root. First up, imperialism. This was a brand new idea in politics: expansion for expansion's sake. It was about grabbing power and territory with no end goal in sight, with no concern for borders or people. This mindset, this idea of limitless, boundless power, was a critical first step. Then World War I happens, and old empires just crumble, creating millions of refugees. They became stateless. And here, Arendt makes a chilling observation. Because they had no state to protect them, they also became rightless. This was a terrifying discovery. So-called universal human rights meant nothing, absolutely nothing, without a political community to actually guarantee them. These rightless people were the canary in the coal mine. And this brings us to the very heart of Arendt's warning. It's her final, and I think her most profound point. If these atomized masses are the raw material, what is the fundamental human experience that makes them so vulnerable to this kind of manipulation?
What's the soil where this evil seed can actually grow? It isn't just poverty or injustice, as awful as those are. For Arendt, the answer is something much deeper, something existential.
Her answer is one powerful word: loneliness. But we have to be really specific here. This isn't isolation, like being alone in a room. And it's not solitude, which can be a good thing, a creative thing. No, loneliness for Arendt is the terrifying experience of feeling like you don't belong to the world at all. It's the feeling of being utterly abandoned by all of humanity. Because it's in that lonely individual, the person who has lost their common sense of the world, who trusts no one, not even themselves, that totalitarianism finds its perfect subject. The rigid, ironclad logic of an ideology becomes a welcome relief from the chaos of reality. Totalitarianism is a government for the lonely, and it works by making that loneliness absolute.
But, and this is so important, Arendt doesn't leave us in despair. Her final message is a call to action. She urges us to comprehend, not to forgive, not to explain away the horror, but to face it, to look it square in the eye and try to understand how it happened. Because for her, that act of fearless comprehension, of facing reality no matter how ugly it is, that is the first and most fundamental act of resistance.